wait to have her on the show. So let's welcome Miss Anna David to the show. Anna, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm up so close. Sorry, I'm moving back.
I was like, wow, we're going to be really close to the camera today. Is that what we're doing? We're going to do the close in.
Hold on. Let me get back where you are. Hi.
Oh, there. I know. You got to get the distance to the camera. It's all. Nobody wants to see my pores. Trust me. That's why we don't get the camera right here.
Except me. I'm dying to.
Okay. Well, there we go. So it's good to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So you have an amazing bio, and it's fitting we're talking about recovery. As you know, our guest right before you was the wonderful Alexis Haynes, who you actually introduced me to, and we were talking about her recovery story. Now, you talk about recovery also. You talk about a series of topics because you've literally been everywhere in the media. You even have a background in journalism, so that would make sense. So let's start off. We're talking about Corona because we're all locked down. And some of us have some freedom, but we're seeing that our freedom isn't so much freedom. We still can't go to restaurants and do the things we want to do, especially those of us on the West Coast. We're still all feeling like we're looking through the bars. But, what are you telling people to keep their mental health right? I asked Alexis the same question. I'm asking everybody who works in this field and talks about it, because you're seeing people breaking records and buying alcohol. And they're saying, drug use is at its all-time high again, which is scary to think we could top the 60s. But here we are again. So what are you telling folks to stay away from? That's not the answer. Yeah, it's a quick way to get out of feeling better, but there's other things that you could do that you don't have to get hooked on that. And I'm sure you could probably give us some great thoughts on that.
Well, yeah, I mean, alcohol is a depressant. So in a depressing time, that does seem like the worst idea possible. That being said, I am an addict. I haven't had a drink or a drug. It'll be 20 years in November. So I certainly understand going towards a depressant in order to escape. I will say, while this is going on and the statistics about mental health and addiction are horrible, I am seeing so much recovery. There are online meetings constantly. And I am sponsoring women who are brand new to sobriety, who have gotten sober since the lockdown started, which just blows my mind. So in a way, there is more access to recovery than there ever has been, than there was when we had our freedom, because you don't have to drive to these meetings. You don't have to get a seat. You can just log in. And my recovery in terms of my mental health has just blown up since this started. And, for all that people are putting on weight and all of these things, I know just as many people who are exercising more, who are going on more walks, who are cooking more and losing weight because they're not out at restaurants. And so there are just as many opportunities to flourish as there are to self-destruct. And the opportunities are right there, right on Zoom.
That's great. You bring up, I do like the positivity, because for and we were talking about this with Alexis, so many people want to focus on the negative, right? And I see so many people, oh, this is horrible, boo-hoo, boo-hoo. And I'm like, no, you go find a way to make yourself positive. And the whole weight gain thing just drives me nuts. It's like, what else are you going to do? I mean, you can only watch so many hours of Netflix. There's only so much seriously, who could sit there? I mean, besides my 13-year-old who can play video games until we pry the controller from his hands or he passes out. But the rest of us, again, I'll bring it up, and I'm not a paid spokesman, but my Peloton and the Peloton app has been a savior from getting on the bike. It's the community. It's the high fives. It's the voice that's going to welcome you. And it's just different people. And it's cool because you're in their living room, right? And that's, to me, it's keeping me from doing dumb things, right? It's actually causing creativity. And I'm trying to tell people, find your creative side. If you want to become a writer, write. If you want to learn how to use Photoshop, do that. Don't get caught up in like, hey, how many bottles of wine can I buy and plow through in a weekend? And people want to lean on that as like a stress relief. So it's good that you bring that up, because I do think there's so many things, not just physical fitness, but you only get in your own way. And I always say discipline over anything else, right? It's like discipline over distraction. You could distract yourself anytime, but you have to be disciplined and know that you want to get through it. I mean, just like you, 20 years clean, that is amazing, right? I mean, that high five for that. Virtual high fiving you for
virtual high five.
I love it. So we'll talk a little bit more about recovery, then I want to hop into what you're doing, because we had this great chat yesterday talking about this new project with what you're doing with books and yes. So we'll tease that because it's kind of a podcast episode too. But so how can people who maybe think that they're at this level where like, I don't know where I'm at. My mental health is kind of beat down. I don't know, how do I fix this? How do I right the ship? And I've had people actually ask me, I'm in this dark place and I can't get out of it every day. And I'm telling them to turn off the news or, don't just go technology free for a day. Or, what advice are you giving people who find themselves in this downward spiral? And it's just easier to go to an addiction than it is to like fix it.
Yeah, well, depression hates a moving target. So action is, we have this expression in recovery about you can't think yourself into right action, but you can act yourself into right thinking. And it is an effort. I find myself going dark. So you know what I did? I signed up to volunteer at the crisis text line. And it's basically a suicide hotline that happens over text. Didn't do this because I'm an amazing person. Did this because I have a lot of experience with not focusing on myself is what makes me feel better. In this situation, there are, alas, a lot of people doing worse than whatever your situation is. This is a horrible time for some people. So it may sound sort of Pollyanna-ish. Making a gratitude list, making an action plan, saying every day at noon, I'm going to walk or whatever it is. But I think also it is not beating yourself up if you don't hold yourself up to some standard. At the beginning of this crisis, Gwyneth Paltrow was widely mocked because she said, this is the time you should be learning a new language or writing a book. And then people said, I don't want this pressure. Sure. But like you said, though, it's the word discipline. And I will tell you that I think it was March 15th, I decided I was going to host daily writing sessions. And I was just going to hop on Zoom at 10 a.m. and anybody who wanted to join me, who had been talking about wanting to do a book, could do it. And I got 30 people. And we just started to do it every day. And actually, that's now turned into a monthly membership group that one of my coaches is hosting. I'm not even hosting it anymore. But in the process, I watched 30 people start their memoirs, things that they had been wanting to write about for years. So I think that it is scheduling, getting the idea, but not beating yourself up if you don't learn a new language during this time, to practice self-care first.
I love that you say that. Don't beat yourself up, because I've seen people do that. Like I've seen the post like, oh my God, I didn't work out today. I lost my streak. And it's like, I get it. But sometimes life happens and you just have to let it do it. It's happened several times to us dealing with two teenagers who are both stressed out, can't hang out with friends. All their social life is gone. And you don't think of that. And I know there's people, I've been mocked for saying my kids lost their social life, but that's a key. We all had that going to school. I thrived in it. I love going out. Anybody who from my high school days who's watching right now will be like, yeah, we've been to parties at Mitchell's house. So, that's part of the experience of school and becoming social. We're all going through it, but you can't really beat yourself up. And I know it's easy to do. And I know people like judge different. Oh, this person's, look at them. They're all about themselves and getting fit. It's like, stop picking on each other. And I have seen a lot of hate online towards other people. And it's really depressing. It's like, this isn't the time for us to be against each other. Again, we're all shooting at the same basket. It's all how you form your shot while you're doing it is one of the things I love to say. So let's move on. And before you go, let's talk about this new project that you're working on, taking podcasts and turning them into books.
Yes. Well, so I have a publishing company and it is called Launchpad Publishing. And what we do is we work with 7-figure entrepreneurs. We help them share their stories. They're people whose businesses are going to expand if they have a book. Their speaking careers are going to expand, everything. So that's what I've been doing for years. Then we decided to start focusing on doing current content books. And I shouldn't say focusing on, it's one of about 10 things that we're doing. And we are taking pre-existing material and making it into a book. So maybe that's emails, maybe that's social media posts, whatever it is. We've done it for several entrepreneurs. And so then I have this idea, let's do this with podcasts, because there are all these very successful podcast hosts who have so much material, and it could be a book. It could be, you know, because it's wonderful that we're all consuming audio, but it just kind of flits off. What if you take the transcripts of that audio and make it into a book? So that's something that my team is focusing on right now. But I should mention, it's one of many things we do. And like I said, we have a membership group. We have our core business, which is writing and publishing books for entrepreneurs. We have just publishing. We have everything. So that's just one of the many things we're doing.
You're a woman of many hats. That is a good thing, and you have quite the bio to go with it. So as we wrap up here, tell folks how they can learn more about all the things you do and how to connect with you, because you are one of those people that I enjoy talking to, because we can always talk about recovery and like I always kiddingly call the softer side of Sears, aging myself and remembering old Sears commercials. But you're one of those positive people that I love talking to, just like Alexis, where it's like, look, there is light at the end of every tunnel. It's just it's the perspective that you look at it. And obviously with your projects, with your publishing company, dealing with books, I know a lot of folks that are out there that are being ultra creative right now and writing. And I see, how do I start? Where do I do this? So tell folks how they can get a hold of you and find out more, especially about publishing books. I know a lot of entrepreneurs are interested in that.
Sure. Yeah, Anna at Anna David. I see all my emails. And, you know, I should mention, so I'm a New York Times bestselling author of 7 books. So I went from just being an author and a TV personality and all of those things to publishing and sort of moving behind the scenes. So the reason I do what I do is because I have seen the power. You know, without a book, I was just a drug addict. Getting sober and writing a book, I was the first person the Today Show called when they needed an expert on that. So it is a game changer, and now is the time to be changing your game. So yeah, I'm on social media at Anna B. David. Launchpad Pub is the best website for me, and Anna at Anna David.
Perfect. That is great. I just love the way you say that, like 7 times, you know, New York Times bestseller. Just, you know.
Just to clarify, one of the books was a New York Times bestseller. People always mess that up, and I kind of let them go with it. And I'm like, no. That's
let me go with that.
Big difference.
It's so cool. I was going to go brag about that.
Big difference.
Okay, 1. It's still more. It's 1 more than I have. So it's awesome. As always, it's great to chat with you. We need to have you back on. We need to make you like a regular on here, because just talking to you, it's one of those positive vibes. It's just like Thursday, we had a guy named Rudy Reyes on our show, and his energy just is contagious through a camera. It just makes you like, okay, I'm going to go charge that hill. Same thing with talking to you, Anna. So I thank you for coming on, and we'll talk to you really soon.
Thanks, Eric. I really appreciate it.
Thanks.